Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Life Theories with your hosts, Diana from Trailblazers of the Universe, Jay from Journey of a White Feather, and me, Sarah from Big Soul Healing. Today, we are going to be talking to you guys about the big shift that's happening with the full moon and the energy of letting go, and all of the things that are encompassed with the energies of the retrograde happening, the new moon or the full moon, and just letting go of all the heaviness that cannot come with you into the life that you are trying to step into and you're trying to build for the better. So let's get into it, guys.
Letting go and also stuff coming into your powers. Like you basically, there's so much. I'm always a lover of Neptune retrogrades and Neptune because everything comes out of nowhere. And couple of revelations for me is just basically number one. I think the main thing is I found out I'm scared of success. There we go. Or when I get someone
Yeah.
go, oh, fuck, what am I going to do with it? Well, or just go, hang on a minute. But that comes down to and big shout out to Karen Mendel, who did self sabotage. I learned a lot from her. Um, Self sabotage, trauma based opinions and thoughts. Um, yeah, it's just got to, and then comes into what we learned from the shadow work, which is what I'm doing. And course coming soon, ladies and gentlemen. There, free plug. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Um, that you got a choice to either go with it or not, and that's it. End the story. That's what Greg would say to me. He goes, okay, great, you acknowledged it. Let's walk into let's walk the shadow or walk what you do and get yourself to a point where you're going to enjoy yourself because you always have. There you go. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that's pretty much along the same lines. Like just, let it go, acknowledge it. Once you've acknowledged it, what are you going to do with it? I've been treating my shadow a lot differently than I have in the past recently. I'm meeting the energy with um, my compassionate mother, basically. So I'm embodying what it would be to be the most compassionate, loving, understanding, caring mother. And I'm embodying that energy and meeting my shadow with that. And rather than beating myself up or getting upset with myself and sort of like triggering the shadow to kind of run amok, which sometimes I was doing without realizing it. And when I brought in the mothering energy to it all, it really started to shift for me, and it really started to get to a point where everything started to fall into place. For the past year on my TikToks, there's been I actually stopped doing it because I was like, this is silly. I'm not even going to get there. So I was posting these videos on my TikTok about like trying to wake up at 6 a.m. and trying to start a new morning routine. And for the longest time, I was like, well, why can't I do this? Why can't I was the number one question I was asking myself. Um, I just made a gentle tweak to that, which was what's stopping me? And instead of asking why can't I and getting in that cycle of feeling self-defeated, it's giving my power back by saying, well, what's stopping me and how can we remove those blocks? And starting to get into things, the letting go process like that and the shifting process like that, and meeting it with light and compassion, and it's really helped. And now, since I started doing that about 3 weeks ago, just that gentle tweak um, of like the thought that was going through my head, I am now waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning super easily today. I went to bed last night, like, could have stayed up last night, had the house to myself basically, because Willer fell asleep. And I could have just done whatever I wanted in whatever room of the house and it would have been fine. I would have just had my space. I was like, no, you know what? I'm just going to go to sleep. And something in me decided that that was the best choice. And I didn't feel pressure. I didn't feel like going to bed now is what I should be doing. It just felt like this is what I want to do. And it happened
I think
easily instead of happening
I,
with force.
I think what happened with I take a lot of that because the last, especially probably reference to the full moon. When was that? That was last week, right?
Yeah.
But a couple of weeks before that, everything was starting to change up. You go through what you go through, but I basically going and it's the easiest way to describe it is the universe is basically pulling me towards the way I always want to be. Like I'm looking at it and go, what are you really enjoying? And what are you supposed? Not even what are you supposed to do. It's just where you're going to go. Your energy goes, and that's where when I went to WA and did that. Obviously, I think I'm more in balance over there because I'm 2 hours behind the rest of the bloody world, which is great. But taking yourself out and understanding that what you actually love. Like I still enjoy the teaching game, but I don't enjoy all the bullshit that comes with it. So how do I fix that? And then I'm looking at all, then things just come up, and they go. And as I said with Neptune, they things just are coming up, and yeah, like I'm doing the Shadow Warrior course. I've pretty much written. I'm sitting there going, oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm double checking. Nah, you've done it. Shut up and frigging get out there and do it. And it's taken a while, a big thing for me to put my face on TikTok. I've never done it. I've never come forth with what I've done. I've done Journey of a White Feather stuff, but I never promoted it. So it's basically having to be that person I want to be. I know exactly I've got to be, if I'm going to be a proper public speaker in that way and motivational speaker or whatever, it's coming out on these social media platforms and going from there. So what do you reckon, Di?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is stepping outside of our comfort zone. Just with the shit that's going on, it's like what used to work, like isn't working anymore. Like our responses to things, the way we communicate, our economy. I mean, the diet, right? The like what we're eating. Like for me, it's like shows, music. I mean, I know we talked about this before, but it's just even more clear. It's like magnifying even more, like what is just not in alignment. It's so like obvious. It's like right in your face, and it's just. But all this is outside of our comfort zone. So I mean, especially we've been doing things a certain way for a while. We're spotting things a certain way, certain habits, a certain way of living. It can be a big like rude awakening for people, and they're like, and especially the people that aren't as aware or not, or just starting to go through their awakening. They're like, what? I've been doing this whole time, kind of like zombied out or like just kind of in a routine. You get stuck in your routines and the matrix routines and different. But now we're being forced to live a different way. I mean, look at all the disasters that go on the planet. I think Mother Earth is like responding, that it's very clear that we're not, regardless of who's causing what or what's causing what, it's Mother Earth is responding to the way we've been living, our energy together as a collective. That's just one example. It just we're being, we have to, and just living more from the heart space, all the separation, everything. It's very clear the forces that separate and everything, and just like, it's just there's so many different levels to this, and then we have our own personal journeys, we have our relationships, we have karmic energy, right, with people, whether it's our family members, that's being highlighted now. So some of these things we have worked on, we should give ourselves credit. We have come far. This stuff's not easy, but there's more levels to everything. It's not just like one level. It's like Sarah was talking about some of the ancestral stuff that's coming up, and it's just so many different levels to it. And now for me, it's like communicating a different way, responding a different way, just a new way of life for a lot of people. And a lot of people are going to be resistant to that. A lot of people don't want to be unplugged. A lot of people want to stay in their own routine. And even if it's miserable, even if it's suffering, they feel a sense of security in it because that's what they've always known. So, yeah. So, yeah,
Well,
just, yeah.
It's living in the ego, isn't it? It's living in the ego,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like, it's the
Familiarity
shifting
is comfortable.
Yeah.
it's shifting consciousness. It's huge.
Pulling the rug underneath a lot of people's feet. Now, but even for people that are, have been doing our work and we are more aware of stuff, it's still a lot for me. Like, even for me, it's intense. Like, I'm just seeing what it ain't. I have to do things a different way. I have no problems doing things a different way, but it's all the residual things. These are usually deep-rooted wounds, though, and that's a problem. These things they're in your energy field.
Subconscious
Yeah.
autopilot shit.
And in your
I'll
body,
tell you
it's stored in
what.
your body. Like we talked about, it being with Solomon, it being in your, being stuck in your body. So like I said, I'm trying to like get more fit, lose weight. I feel the need to shed more and stuff, but I can feel as I'm losing it, I'm almost like scared to like release it because I can feel there's trauma that's coming as I'm like trying to exercise more and everything, and like it's trying to release, and it's like it's kind of scary. It's like, oh man, I've always held on to this. I've identified with this, so like you're trying to take it away from me. Yeah, it's weird, right?
Yeah,
I
it
guess you're
becomes part
fighting
of your
like,
identity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be part of my identity because I know it was programmed and I'm fighting the
Yeah.
program now. It's basically He-Man v Skeletor. Now it's come to a point where I've got everything I needed and everything I've worked for and everything I've ever wanted. And then you've got that bloody program. I know where it came from and you have to forgive it. It's hard because you're fighting and you go, you just got to try and, I'm just trying to let it go because I know exactly where it came from. It's pissed me off. And it's a case of, when the old self comes in and you can feel the old self, you really get defensive and really want to try and block it. I mean, there's a forgiveness and all that stuff. That's fine. But still, you have a reaction to go, fucking why, why the fuck did this happen? Why? But then my friend said to me, goes, you've gone through it to teach others how to get through it because I didn't realize how
Yep.
deeply traumatized and how deeply fucked up I real. Excuse the language there, people, but once you have a realization of how deeply fucked up you are and how it affects your life, your relationships, and how you attract people, until you actually wake up, there's no. I mean, you can sit there and go, "Oh, that happened to me. That'd be okay," but let's be real. You're going to be a bit frustrated with it. So you have to. I've been told, and I've wanted to just express it in a way and go, right, that's the way it is. And remember that feeling that you don't want to go that way again. And you just say, right, okay, here's the cliff. You've got to do the free fall now. Now it's time for you to free fall and really enjoy what you're doing.
And not everybody can come with you. I think that's for me. A lot of people
Absolutely,
they're
yes.
showing their true colors, or people you're friends with for a long time, or just people you thought were a certain way, or even newer people I've met. I'm seeing different sides because of that veil is thin. It's like our third eyes are opening even more. I'm seeing shit. I'm like, what? How did I not see this before? This person's acting the same way, but for some reason I'm seeing it in a different light because your awareness is expanding and your consciousness, and it's like, oh. And it's like, but you can see the patterns. You can see what led to attracting these certain things, and everything's interconnected. But it's kind of crazy. And then it has you questioning your own intuition. Then you have things that are trying to cloud your intuition in the world, like what they're trying to do, everything that's trying to go on. They're trying to cloud it. So you're like, am I going crazy or is this real? But, I got a Reiki session last week, and her guidance, she told me, was if you don't know who to trust yourself. And we have to keep going within because there's all these things that are testing you. You see different sides, different people, but everyone's multidimensional. There are different truths that exist at the same time, but it's like multiple truths. But it's like, what's true for me, and what do I feel in my gut? Like, what's there's so it's like like your instant reaction, and like you said last week with the body response, it's really tuning into yourself more because man, everyone has a different experience, different opinion, and they might speak a certain truth about something, but what is it for you? Like, what is true for you?
We're all truth makers. Like
Yeah.
I look at it now. All the stuff that I've said, everyone wants instant gratification, but even I'll give you a simple example that doesn't get anyone in trouble, but or anything like that. It's basically a footy team that I follow. They drafted someone. They should have drafted this person, right? And I said straight up, this person's a spud. Spud. Don't pick him, right? Now everyone's going, oh, you give him a chance. Blah, blah, blah. I said, mate, he's a spud. You should have gone for this bloke. I've been proven right. And I just said to me mate one day, I go, I fucking told you from day one, and I should have back myself. This is just basically giving you an example where your first thoughts
Was right. Yeah.
was right,
Yeah.
and then your ego. Look, there's nothing wrong with bringing your ego in and saying and making a relevant, conscious thought about it. If you go a conscious thought as such, you know what I mean, like analysing it, but then you analyse yourself out of the thought that you were in. And you just got to back yourself in because there's other. You basically. Do you need to fight other idiots for your opinion? No, because that's their opinion. That's the way it is. But people are because people get on social media and they're keyboard warriors. They say, "Oh, you're a fucking idiot. You know what you're talking about." But then in the end, when you are right, they shut them up and they go, "Oh yeah, that was in the past. Forget that." You get where I'm going. So that's where people's sort of self gratification comes in. But what it's taught me is basically go with your first thought and bring your ego in after I went in and had the spiritual awakening second time round. It basically says to me, back yourself in, make that conscious decision, you know, the subconscious is used there to guide you, not to hold you back. Or the ego, sorry. That's how I'm looking at it. And then you sort of work with that shadow work that you've done and realize and go, then that's when you actually enter your shadow and go, oh, hang on, I'm entering somewhere I don't want to go. And that's backing myself in some ways. You know what I mean? So you got that kind of timeline. Oh, just basically into the what Diana, it's coming into. Diana was saying as well. It's what we're doing is we're coming into our true person, and we're really shedding that old self, and we have to go through the points of. I guess a big thing is like, and the anti-bullshit meter that I've got, and I've been told I've got.
Yeah.
People, you'll say something, you damn well know it's the right thing, and I damn well know it. Basically what they say is that people will be exposed, and I've seen that just recently. I've gone, and you sit there and you go, you can only blame yourself for putting yourself into certain situations, and you go, what the hell was I doing, really? And you sit there and you beat yourself up a bit, which I did a little bit, but then I look at the opportunities that I've got now, and I'm going, rightio, that brought me to here, and you got it, and you sort of like your relevant self is talking up here towards another version, not another version of yourself, but another emotion. It's like your karma is telling you, well, frustration, say, look, you've justified, but just look, let's put this energy into here. Let's get this happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Definitely been feeling a lot of that myself lately with choosing directionality, like going with my gut response, waiting for my gut to respond so that I can make an informed decision with the information that was presented to me, either via somebody spewing garbage out their mouth or flip-flopping and changing the direction from where they were at before. And it's been really happening out of the blue, like all of a sudden people will just be making these huge flips, right? And it's just about how you're going to respond to it at this point, and checking in with yourself when these situations get presented to you. And it can be really, really hard when it's like an old long lasting friendship that you've had for a long time, or a relationship you've had for a long time, and all of a sudden you start to see parts of them that you never really knew they were there. And you kind of have to check in with yourself, and you should check in with them too. And it's like kind of going back to what Diana was saying about there's new ways of doing things. How are you going to communicate what you've noticed in your friend to them? Or are you going to bring it up gently, or are you going to just gently remove yourself because it just doesn't feel right anymore? So it's about choosing the response and really leaning into what your gut is saying and what your intuition is saying about the situation, and rolling with what you get from that, and protecting yourself in that way, because there's a lot of big shifts happening right now in people. And
they're exposing themselves though, like, and the light is exposing the dark, and with their frequency shift, like the lower stuff is coming up. But if you're a being of light, if you're working on yourself, you're doing more inner work, you're raising your vibration, that's going to make people feel uncomfortable that aren't. And it's not about being jealous, not having an ego. It's just it's
frequency.
It's just a frequency, and they get triggered by, it's like the trolls who respond on, right? The people that are trolls, right? Their vibration is very low. They're projecting their stuff. They see you're coming there with, inspirational posts. I mean, we all dive in some darkness too. Like, my stuff isn't all love and light on my posts. Like, I mix in a little bit of everything, but like, there's still people that are just going there just to attack because it's like you're annoying to them. It's like you're irritating. It's like, even though you're not saying anything directly to them, it's like the light irritates them. They're, it's dark. We've all been through a lot of darkness, but you want to balance your light and your darkness. I'm not all love and light all the time. I couldn't be, but like, it's some people don't want to hear the truth. Some people don't want to work on themselves, but a lot of people they're giving you the evil eye. They're jealous, or just like, or they just don't want to do the work. You can't feel bad. If I've done some work, I put in my work, I'm not going to feel bad, and I'm still going to do what I'm doing on the plane. I'm not going to let one person affect me, or however many people, haters. There's always going to be haters either way. Just be authentic. There's a quote that says, I'd rather people, like me for who, or people hate me for who I am than like me for who I'm not, right? And I agree with that. Yeah. Like, just got to be authentic. It's all about being authentic and what works for you. And, it's okay if something doesn't work for you anymore. Like, people are going to vibrate out of your life. And what Sarah just said, maybe communicating with them isn't the best thing. Silence is also a good response too, because part of me, maybe we're talking about inner child stuff, right? Sometimes I want to over explain stuff. It's a trauma response, right? I want to over explain why you did this to me, but they know what they did. They know
Most
what
of the
they
time they
did,
don't care.
or they don't care,
and
or
exactly right.
it's taking
Exactly
energy from
right.
you. Even you exerting that, like sometimes telling them what they did
And
wrong,
they
they
love
already
it.
know, or they don't care, or it's giving them more energy. It's actually giving them more power.
Yeah.
So sometimes
Look at
you
it
just
this
gotta
way.
cut it and not. You don't need to explain. You don't have to explain everything. But that's me. I always like to explain. So I'm like, dude, why do I need to explain to this person what they know what they did?
Yeah.
Let's look at it this
I'm in
way.
a place too, like just not over explaining, like, even when I'm apologizing to
We're
somebody.
going different ways, or just don't say anything. Silence
Yeah, like
is the
even like
best.
just to let it go and just like not I'm sorry because this and this and
Yeah,
leave a
so
string of
people pleasing
excuses.
too. Yeah, sometimes.
You're
Yeah.
just sorry and it's not
But this
gonna
is the
happen.
whole
Or,
this is the whole
just
point,
come
though.
in and just be very direct
Or
and
I'm not sorry, and I'm just like, it just ain't
or
working.
yeah,
And
or I'm
yeah,
just this is the way that I feel. I don't need to explain to you why I feel this way, how I came to feel this way. I feel this way and I'm going to leave because I don't want to keep putting my energy into this.
Say you
And
got a
that's
trauma
like,
response.
what's that?
So I say you got a trauma response, right? That's a
Hmm.
trauma response. As far as it's a shadow trauma response, right? Because if you have to explain to someone, or are you justifying yourself
like
because
over
what happened?
explaining. It's like, yeah, and it's
Yeah,
usually to
yeah.
please. It
So I've
comes from a
done that.
people pleaser thing, or like trying to
Yeah,
get a
that's right. It
validation
comes
from
from an inner
someone, like
child
inner
thing.
child
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Needing to
Yeah,
feel
so it's all
heard.
bullshit. But the worst bit is, I think, for all of us, we have this inner knowing. Like I've been proven right. I'm sitting there going, I wish I could I wish I could expose. I've just exposed you. What? I guess you put to a point where now it has to get to a point, and that's what Greg and Michael said. It gets to a point where it absolutely rips your heart out. Like you get hurt right by doing things. But this one that I saw on the weekend, that I go, I was damn well right, and it hurt to a point where you got to stop the hurt. If you get where I'm going, sometimes you allow the hurt. The hurt justifies the means. Whereas this one goes, I don't want to feel like this anymore because you made me feel like, not maybe I was right. I'm not going to get the justification. I wish I could just bloody either, you know, set you on fire, whatever you want to do. But if you get where I'm going, I'm looking straight through you. You don't give a shit. But is it justified? Is it justified in my life that I put my energy into? Or we'll use the word hate. I'll use the word hate. Who gives a shit? Use the word hate on the person, or do you just go, as you just said, Di? Ignore. The best way to do it is ignore it, and you're
Silence is a
100
strong
100%.
message. Silence gives a strong
100%
message.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Silence
Sometimes you
is
have to.
the greatest message that you can give someone. You're at 100% right. I believe that, and then that's a
No
new
energy.
pattern
Yeah.
that's a new pattern that we've got. I'm trying to learn. I'm nowhere near it.
It's not easy.
And
I
so I'm
have
taking.
some, yeah. I like to say some shit. Sometimes I want them to know that I know what they did wrong, but that's my ego talking. That's my ego's like, oh,
That's
you did
right.
me wrong. Or it's like, you betrayed me or whatever, and I want you to know that. But they know. But why do we need to? It's an ego, and I'm working on that too. I have situations right now that it's
Well, the ego's
yeah,
job is 100% just to keep you safe.
yeah,
So
Yes.
anytime it feels like you're not safe, it's going to act out and make you behave that way or
yeah.
trigger these reactions within you. So anytime you're feeling triggered, ask yourself what in this situation is unsafe. Why do I feel unsafe right now, and how can I bring myself back to safety?
Yeah.
And
And then you.
whether that's centering your breath and
Mm.
rebalancing your breath, but doing something in the moment to bring yourself back to safety. One of the really cool um, responses, or not responses, but like techniques that I just learned to bring yourself out of a trigger, like if you're feeling really, really triggered by somebody in these spaces, and bringing yourself, if you need to bring yourself back to safety, if your ego is like going off, just bring your focus to the back of your spine, like the inside part of your spine and the back of your skull. So
Mm.
if you put focus on the back of your skull and then put focus on your spine and kind of go down vertebrae by vertebrae and just spend a moment breathing and focusing on your spine, it reminds you that you have a back. You have your own back in that moment, and that brings you back to safety.
Safety.
So if
Yeah.
you're feeling like your ego is triggered, or you're just having a moment where you're in conversation with somebody, you're feeling unsafe, you're feeling triggered, you're feeling like you need to attack verbally or conversationally, take a step, take a moment to take a deep breath in and bring your focus to the back of your skull and your spine, and
Yeah.
remember that you have your own back, and it'll bring you back into that safety. It's a really, really good little practice.
Excuse me 1 second. You can watch that for a sec. You can watch this. Excuse me a second.
I've been practicing this like when I'm not triggered, and it's been really helping me to like kind of get in touch with the sensation of it. And the other day I actually did use it while I was triggered, and it worked really, really, really well. So I tried to do it once without practicing after just hearing about this technique. And I was super triggered, and I was trying to do it, and I couldn't really do it. So to practice bringing your focus there when you're in a calm state helps your automatic responses like be able to be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this is what we're doing now. So
Yeah, it's a new it's a new trauma. We had a
nice
trauma
little trick to
response.
pull you out of your ego.
We're changing the way we respond, or that's how we respond in the past, or it's bringing up a similar emotion from the past. Something, this could go back to our parents, go back to the relationship, it could go back to whatever, just a situation, something stimulated our nervous system to respond. Some kind of trauma, trauma comes in different forms. It's an emotional trauma. It's not, people, though, like, I think anything that causes an intense emotional reaction or heartache or anything, like, I could go back to experience I had when I was, like, in middle school and remember, something about a relationship I had or a friend I had, and like it still feels the same right now, right? It's stored like in the body, right? So it's like we have to literally train that we're safe, that we're in the present moment, we're not in that experience, because a lot of it just bringing you back to the old feeling that maybe hasn't been processed of that experience. So it's like reminding yourself, what you said, like connecting to you more to your root chakra, your spine. Just you're safe. Like the moment you're fine, it just your ego is trying to come in and like protect you, be like, nah, F that. And for me, sometimes it's like wanting to be right, wanting to be in control. I don't feel like I'm in control of a situation, and sometimes that scares me. I've been out of control in a lot of situations in my life. It's sometimes when I don't feel like I have a grasp on the situation. Not that I want to control someone else, but like myself, like it just. When I'm free flowing with all this anger or crazy energy, that I'm like, I don't know where it's coming from, and I'm like, oh, I don't feel safe, so it feels better to project it rather than like bring it back to me. I just want to, and if anyone's saying anything that's triggering that, it's like you're snapping, it's like you're almost like you're seeing red or something, That's what it feels like to me, and it's hard to walk away from that. It's hard to respond differently when you're used to responding that way. And you've seen a lot of people in your life that maybe didn't have the best response to that kind of stuff. So like you're like retraining yourself all over again to be a completely different person. And this goes into ancestral stuff too. This goes to inner child. This goes to, you probably saw your parents interact this kind of way. Maybe you had your dad yell at you when you were a kid. Maybe you have some actual abuse. So I mean, this all like trickles down to other relationships and friendships, and then we attract people with those similar energies too. Because if we haven't healed that right. And then there's some people that are here just to like trigger those emotions, and like it can be a lot. But it just, I think awareness is the biggest thing. If you're aware that, hey, I'm feeling this way, just being really in touch with your body. Like I can feel I'm fuming, my head will get hot, my chest tenses. I get the feeling in my stomach, my solar plexus gets it a lot. It's like it's fight or flight. It's like a fight thing for me. I'm not fighting. I'm fighting. Most of the time, I'm not like I know there's different responses. Like there's the fawn one where some people freeze up. Some people just attack. And I saw a chart that was really good. It showed the different trauma responses, but it's like that nervous system is activated. Yeah, just your nervous system. It's you can tell it's programmed into your nervous system, and that's why we go on social media and stuff, and when we see people really triggered right now. It's like you can tell it's like the reptilian, right? Brain. It's like it thinks it's life's in danger. Well, I wouldn't say life's in danger, but it thinks it's in danger. The ego thinks it's in danger. It's not comfortable. It's not safe. It feels like you want to jump out of your skin, kind of shit. It doesn't even feel safe in your own body sometimes, and that's why healing your body is important too. Because if your trauma's in your body, you're not going to feel safe in your body. You're going to want to escape. You're going to want to go do substances. You're going to want to go do things so you don't feel what's like all that. I think that's a lot of the reason I got into like substance addiction and stuff. Like I didn't want to feel the emotions within me. I just wanted to go. That felt better being high over there. away from my body than being in my body where all the crazy
It's
shit is stored and in my
easier to
mind.
leave it than to look at it head on.
Yeah. That's the
Yeah.
flight part. See, now I'm in my body, but I'm like, oh shit, there's some things I need to work on. Oh, this feels uncomfortable when I'm in my body, but then I want to like snap instead. Like I don't want to escape so much anymore. But so now how do I respond to this in a healthy way? Go do something healthy instead. And it's like it's not in my nature really to like be all like, I want to. For me, it feels more safer going into my masculine energy. That got me through a lot of stuff like that. But I'm also showing, hey, I can be in my feminine and be safe and be okay. I don't need to be all like that. Fighting is like the masculine energy, but I felt safe all through my addiction, all through my past. Like that got me through a lot of stuff. So I feel safer in that. So it's for me being safe in my feminine. You can still be in your feminine energy and be safe. I think that's one thing. I think a lot of females on this planet, and we're programmed to be in our masculine energy. We're programmed to hustle, work, like be equal
you're
to
also
men or whatever.
programmed to think that it's not safe to be female.
Yeah.
It's not safe to be feminine.
That's
can
a
get
program. You think it's weakness.
Yeah.
And of course,
you can get hurt. Like people are going to want to hurt you, take advantage of you, abuse you, like, all that shit. So we're programmed that it's not safe to even be a female.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of evidence in our society that it's not safe. So it's hard to break away from it when you feel it inside, but then externally there is also evidence of this. And there is evidence that it is safe to be female, but there's a whole lot more evidence that it's not. Whether that's visual, verbal, through media, like through what other people are saying about women's safety, it's a lot and it gets overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
So it's to be able to bring yourself back to the reality of I am safe in my femininity. It's that much harder just because, especially if you're looking at it from a somatic lens, you look at your external reality to see if you are safe.
Yeah.
And to bring yourself into the now moment. But sometimes, you're going to open your eyes and like the next person you go talk to is going to talk about some horrible thing that happened to them just because they're a female. You know what I mean? Or, like doesn't always have to be the case, but with the way that things are, it helps to bring yourself into safety if your environment and around you can prove to you that it is safe. So yeah, it's a hard thing to heal. It can be done. And the little like somatic exercises to bring yourself into your body and to help you release the parts that feel tense and unsafe is really, really helpful in this day and age, especially like, as women trying to get back into their femininity and like release this masculine sort of hold.
Apologies, guys. Sorry about that.
Put on us. And it's like, I was going to go into a little bit about what you were saying before about like the ancestral work as well, like, and it kind of plays into like getting into the femininity